So, today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and singularity. So, what exactly is artificial intelligence and singularity? Artificial intelligence is the creation of a computer system that is able to perform tasks that would normally require a human to compile their senses into a meaningful decision. Singularity is the hypothesis that the invention of artificial superintelligence will trigger the system's ability to upgrade and reprogram itself to prove useful to solve problems that us humans might take years or longer to do. But the runaway effect has on society can prove daunting from us and all the movies that you've probably seen. Like the Netflix series Black Mirror, for example, has a lot of episodes that play out how a lot of these technologically advanced real life scenarios might play out ethically and how it might morally be wrong to do some of those things and other stuff to consider. Quite a few episodes give scenarios where they're able to make an exact copy of your brain and alter it by putting it in environments which would make it uncomfortable for you to be in, but and it wouldn't actually have you physically being there. These somewhat far-fetched but possibly someday realistic scenarios could come to life. And if you watched some of these, you would come to realize, these really big ethical hurdles that could come along with the advancements. They sound promising, but they should be proceeded with caution. And hopefully we're able to control what morals and rights these things have for our embetterment. But there could be a scenario where it runs off on its own, like a Terminator situation, and how it doesn't care about the human race and decides to kill everyone. One day they may be able to replicate human intelligent behavior that is indistinguishable between people. And what does that pose for politics, ethical models, and rights? Do robots have to go to jail when they commit a crime, or do they get more slack because they're just robots? Could they just be reprogrammed to behave themselves better or implemented afterwards? Or since they have feelings and thoughts like us, are they just going to have to go through the same treatment as people? I feel they will be treated different as they won't need to eat or sleep and such, and they can always be altered by humans. Unless they're going on a rampage killing spree, we won't really need to terminate them or have them put into a jail cell or something, for instance. As for moralities caused by robots, fingers will be pointed at them, but they aren't even, partly responsible. It's, more so the creators. So negligence by the creators may pose problems legally because it is the creators' fault for an indirect problem they had no control over. That's a big issue with self-driving cars right now, is who to blame in such instances. If they leak mass amounts of information to the public, how do you prosecute a robot? There aren't set rules for these situations yet, which make future prediction of what could happen really interesting. One thought is creating a friendly AI that could counter an effort towards making normal AI more humane and friendly, for instance. The judicial system also has a lot more to improve in the meanwhile, while things change. In order to make humans and super artificial intelligence more, equal. As time goes on, we will be able to implement necessary modes of ethics and rights towards these newfound individuals. And I don't think we would let it run away too far, or have a capability to, or allow that capability. But to know how to fully understand an implementation of new things, you need to create the problems in the first place to solve. So I generally think it's a good idea to, maybe somehow cause those problems in the first place. The general purpose of AI is making our lives easier and enhancing it. Instead of having to constantly program situations to our liking, we could have a system that learns on its own and makes our life easier. Programming is a huge need, and there's never enough people to program machines to our needs specifically, so why not make it learn on its own? As technology and situations progresses, so does the ability of machines to adopt them. Like the new AI Google Home, for instance, has the ability to learn your speech and likes the things that you tell it to, without having the ability to learn as you want, having to tell it to what to do beforehand, like like which song to play becomes a nuisance when it could just figure out for itself. AI could serve to also mimic you. If you, let's say, could take your intelligence or figurative being out of your brain, you could have thoughts and emotions without the need of bodily functions or a respiratory, limbic system. You could just be a chip with all you and your experience ever lasting and never dying. It could create immortality in ways to serve you by, making duplicates of you, having you sit on the side and help you out, or but consequently you could be that copy of you trapped inside an egg, let's say, slaving to control your house with no other freedom, or having the outside world, and you're trapped conscious. Yeah, so it could obsolete having a need for a physical self, but that's not what anyone would want in some cases. But people with no other choice might want to opt for that other option. With the fast evolution of a combination of many technologies, will exponentially grow a final goal of freedom and perfection. Most of the technology is already there, just not all of us know about it. Big complication is the politics and ethics needed to implement them into the public, which is the biggest factor really slowing us down. 2050, being just 30 years away, I believe will entail huge technologies and advancements, but non-implementation to the public rather than private beta testing environments. So those are things to consider with possible scenarios. We have more power than the president of 30 years ago today with our phones, for example. Now we basically turned ourselves into superheroes. So like what sort of power could people come up with in proportion in, like, let's say 30 years from now rather than 30 years behind? I believe there's going to be huge medical advances, advanced robots, a leap forward in AI, huge leap, neural brain implementation, self-driving cars, just to name a few. Like Moore's law, how the number of transistors in CPUs double every 2 years, we will be able to compute anything. Therefore, also in turn, relatively double scientific and technological hurdles. We'll become much more symbiotic with robots and technology, which will allow exponential growth for humans as well, not only just technology. Although it has its promises, it won't be for everyone. Only the rich will really be able to afford this technology to be put to good use for themselves, and it creates a value conflict with like the poor. It might inflict harm on a chosen few of the, in process without consent. And we've not only been implementing our lives for millennia, but this time of advancements in the past couple of years have really created a huge inertia shift, which might not be recoverable. I personally can't wait to see what the future has in store, and I have a lot of optimism, and I'm hopefully in the right niche of time also to equip an immortality to see the rest. That's what we love to do, watch and learn.